Alabama LSU, Death Valley Saturday night. Mark Rogers TV here to run it down. This has been the premier matchup in the SEC Western Division since Nick Saban has been on the scene in Tuscaloosa, aside from a quick flash from Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, and a few others, Ole Miss in the last couple of years, but mostly LSU, Alabama. But the Tigers have lost 5 consecutive to the Tide, starting with the 2011 BCS National Championship game in which Bama dominated 21-0. What makes this special in a number of ways, but let's start with the talent. Top 5 talent recruited to both of these schools in recent years under Les Miles and under Nick Saban. All right, this particular matchup, let's run it down. We have a number of common opponents. Unfortunately, they have yet to be played on the schedule. The entire SEC Western Division, the other 5 teams are common opponents. Neither Alabama nor LSU play the same Eastern Division foes, but the 5 teams in the West, but they've only played one common opponent to date. That's Ole Miss. LSU won that one in dominant fashion over the weekend, 38-21. The Tigers down early, 10-0. Chad Kelly looked good early, but then LSU just a better football team all around. Just needed to cope with the Ole Miss passing attack. Other than that, the Tigers dominated. 515 total yards to 325, 311 rushing to just 107 for Ole Miss. 4 for 11 on third down, 6 for 16 defensively, and Leonard Fournette just completely busted loose against the Rebels. 16 carries for 284, video game type numbers. And we mentioned Chad Kelly making some plays in the passing game early, then being shut down by a more talented and healthier Ole Miss or LSU team. Duke Riley and Dante Jackson intercepted passes. Davin Godchow and company really wrapped up the Rebels past the first quarter as LSU dominated. Ole Miss played Bama, and the Tide won that one, of course, 48-43. An extremely entertaining game. We thought the Tide was in trouble at 24-3 in the second quarter. The defense, the special teams scored a ton of points. Jonathan Allen with the fumble return for the touchdown. Of course, Deron Payne had the short return for the touchdown. Eddie Jackson, an 85-yard punt return for a touchdown. The Eddie Jackson injury could be huge in this game. He will be missed. Check out the preview I cut with Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama, where he really breaks down the loss of Eddie Jackson, both in the return game and in the secondary, and the replacements there led by Minka Fitzpatrick. Okay, so Bama not looking as impressive against the one common opponent as LSU did in winning by 17 and really dominating the last 3 quarters. When you match up these teams in regards to what they've done statistically against the field, very similar. Bama, of course, the decided edge against LSU and against everybody else. The Bama offense is 16th in the nation, 11th rushing, 8th in points scored, 44 per game. LSU is defensively 5th in the country in points allowed, just 15 points per game. Despite taking on some really good teams in the SEC Western Division, Ole Miss being an offensive juggernaut, and Wisconsin to start the season. The LSU defense is 13th in the nation total defense. The offense is only 53rd, but performing much better in recent weeks. Much of that against inferior foes like Southern Miss and against Mizzou. But LSU, of course, playing extremely well against Ole Miss offensively when Fournette went crazy. Danny Etling had a nice game on 18 for 28 passing. The Bama defense, the best in the nation, no question. Number 1 against the run, just giving up 70 yards per game. So remember 1 year back, Leonard Fournette came in as the Heisman favorite, big favorite. 19 carries, 31 yards against Alabama. I've heard talk this week that Fournette is going to be angry. He's going to be ready. I believe all that, but he is one man against a front 7, specifically the defensive tackles for Alabama. I do not think, despite the talent and the push that LSU gets against most teams in the rushing game, as they are, let's see, 20th in the nation at 240 yards rushing per game. Against Bama, Leonard Fournette can only do so much. Will he go 19 for 31 again? No. I expect an 80 or 100-yard game, but he will not go nuts against Alabama in this one. Fournette, the key. They need to get him loose. They need to get him running. They need to gain some confidence in the ground game. early. They need to stick with it, not stubbornly, because they need to be diversified. But Danny Etling is going to have to play the game of his life, because if the Tigers have any advantage whatsoever in this game, it's on the outside with Malachi Dupree and Trayvon Doral against the Alabama secondary, trying to make some plays downfield, making 5 to 7 key downfield passes for big chunk yardage. That's going to be LSU's hope. LSU has the best talent in the SEC to match up with Alabama. That's the hope. Death Valley, despite having a 5-game losing streak and the 1 championship game loss, the other 4 games have been extremely close. Bama, of course, has the Nick Saban advantage, especially with 2 weeks to prepare for LSU. The rush offense, the rush defense, at the heart of college football, the heart of nuts and bolts football, goes to Alabama. They're just playing on another level than anybody in the nation, running the football and stopping the run. And the other thing, if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, Bama's done it before. These kids are used to making the right plays in key situations. They've got the poise, the determination, everything going for them. LSU's a very talented team, and they're at home. Bama, though, too much, 27-17. Would love to hear your pick on the Tide and the Tigers. Alabama, a 7.5-point favorite by Vegas, right here on Mark Rogers TV.